Alright YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is May 21st. Happy Sunday to everyone out there. We got a jam-packed MLB slate like we always do. We're going to jump into each and every game. I'll give you my thoughts on the game. We'll talk about my lean or leans on the games, but all my final plays will be in the pinned comment, and I update that throughout the day. So if you don't see anything there, just check back a little bit later. You'll probably find some there. We always try to get them in as soon as possible, but some days are going to be a little crazy. Some days they'll come out later than normal, like yesterday, but we still did get them in, obviously, by game time, with plenty of time for you guys to see the picks. And talking about yesterday's games, yeah, we could celebrate it. We could celebrate it. We had a 3-1 night with two plus money hits within those 3 hits. So we had the Twins for plus 108, cash it. The Mariners for plus 115, cash it. And then the Cardinals, which, remember, if you go back to yesterday's video, I was like, I'm just trusting the numbers here. I personally like the Dodgers, but all the public was on the Dodgers and all the money was on the Cardinals. I was like, all right, I'm reading this line. Cash Cardinals money line there. And the Giants let us down, which is funny because they were minus 165 over on DraftKings. Those are like, should have been the most secure odds that we put down there. We paid the most juice with that play, and that does not hit. But nonetheless, a really good winning, positive night for your boy. Hope you guys did tail some of those winners. And before we get into it, guys, what helped me pick those games yesterday? Outlier. I talk about it in plenty of videos. Outlier is an awesome sports betting research tool. You got to start smarting on sports. Got to start betting on sports smarter today, guys. And Outlier helps you do it in a very easy, visual, consumable way. And I keep telling you guys, it's kind of my little catchphrase for them now. Green means good, red means wrong or bad, right? Go over to Outlier, you'll check it out. We've had plenty of demos on the channel as well. You can look at player props, game trends, game market plays, and all this type of stuff. It's really is cool. Like, helped us find the Cardinals yesterday. All the public, the percent was on the Dodgers, but all the money was on the Cardinals. So we pulled the trigger on the Cardinals, and it hit. You know what I mean? So it's a really cool app, both on the desktop and on your phone. Check it out, guys. 7-day free trial with the link in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Definitely something that I deem worth it. I keep telling you guys that. And also the ride of the day. We didn't pick one yesterday. Like I said, very busy day, but we can run it back today. Hashtag ride of the day in the comments and give me an absolute banger of a pick, and I'll pick one person. You guys are getting a shout out in tomorrow's video, win or loss. First game on the slate today, we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds taking on the New York Yankees. Hunter Green is on the mound for the Reds, and the Yankees getting Luis Severino back, from injury. I think the last time he pitched was like 2022, so we're not necessarily sure where he'll come out here. The Yankees are minus 155 on the money line right now. They've already taken 2 against Cincinnati here in damn near dominant fashion, 6-2, 7-4. Cincinnati isn't really hanging with them, but Severino back on the mound. I mean, obviously good pitcher. You just don't necessarily know what you'll get from him, I guess, overall, considering that he has been out for a year or so. So I'm gonna lean towards the Yankees on the money line, but I don't totally love this pick just because of the pitcher. So hate to start it off with kind of a flimsy play. We do have an over here of 9 runs. I don't hate the over at all. Again, both these two teams playing right now, 6-2. Right there, right? And then 7-4 yesterday. They did cash the over. That was a 10.5 line. So I think I'm going to slightly lean towards the over, but just with the pitching question mark here, I'm probably going to stick away from this game in terms of final plays. Just throwing that your way. All right, the Phillies taking on the Cubs. We picked a good day to stick off the Cubs. If you remember, we hit them as money line underdog, and they won in game 1 of the series. Game 2, Philadelphia responds and wins that one yesterday, 12-3. Yeah, 12-3. I think Jameson Talon only pitched like 2 innings too, which is not the best look here. Right now you have the Phillies here minus 115 on the money line at home. I think that's the direction I'm going to lean in. I can't trust this Cubs team. They do have Steele on the mound, who I've talked about in other videos. I do like him. The Phillies are trying out Taijuan Walker, who's 3-2 with a 6.53 ERA. I don't really like him, so it's tough to kind of back a pitcher you don't like. But his last few starts, I would say 2 of his last 3 starts have been decent starts, so we'll take that. And obviously, Steele coming off of that game back last week that he lost for a 6 innings pitch, 5 earned runs, kind of blew up for the Cubs there. I remember him pitching there because that's who we wanted to back, and then he let us down. So I'm going to lean towards the money line here on the Philly side of things. And we have a total of 9 runs. I think this one deserves to be a little bit higher. I think that this could be a 9.5 to 10 run total. So the fact that that's 9, I think we're getting a little bit of value there. Both these teams have been crushing this. The Cubs in their games, not always by their own offense, have hit the over here in 9 of their last 10 games, and the Phillies have hit it in 3 straight games here. So I do like the over. I don't think either one of these pitchers are necessarily necessarily going to keep the other offense down, but what the problem will be, or the concern will be, I should say, will be, can these offenses, get to these pitchers, which both these offenses have been slightly inconsistent as of late. All right, Pirates taking on the Diamondbacks. They've split the two games thus far in game one. Pittsburgh won 13-3. Game two, the Arizona Cardinals, the Diamondbacks bounced back in a decent way here, 4-3 on the win. Right now, you're looking at the Pittsburgh Pirates continuously, or at least 2 of 3 games so far being underdogs in this. They're plus 113 here at home. That's, I think, what were they, plus 130 something in game one. They ended up winning that one. On the mound for them today, however, is going to be someone that I don't really totally love here. Rosny Contreras, I cannot talk this morning, 3-4 with a 4.4 ERA. And then Merrill Kelly on the mound for the Diamondbacks, 4-3 with a sub-4 ERA here at 3.2. I do think I'm going to back the Diamondbacks in this one. Kelly has 2 starts in his last 3 in which he's gone 7 innings deep and only allowed 1 run with 9 strikeouts and 10 strikeouts. And then you have a pitcher on the other side of things that this team has lost all 3 times in the last 3 times that he's pitched. So you're getting Arizona at minus 125 on the money line here. I think is going to be the play. Then we're looking at a total of 8.5 runs. It's a pretty sharp line for me. I don't think I have a true lean on the total here. If anything, I would look at the under just because we really haven't seen these offenses other than obviously when Pittsburgh won 13-3. We haven't really seen them click all together. Like, they have so many 0 spots, so many 1 spots. Same thing as Arizona, though. They went on this little streak where they were only scoring, 2 to 4 runs, 2 to 5 runs, that type of thing. So due to the lack of consistency on the offensive side of things, and the fact that I do think Arizona's trotting out a pitcher that can actually hold this Pirates team to that really low number, I do like the under here as well. But that's just a slight lean. I definitely like Arizona money line more than I do the total here. So Seattle gets the job done for us yesterday. They're taking on Atlanta again. They've split the series. So Atlanta wins the first game 6-2. That was with Bryce Elder on the mound. Yesterday, Logan Gilbert, in what I felt was a really, really good pitching advantage for Seattle. They came in as plus 115 dogs, and that was one of our final plays. We cashed it as they won 7-3. And I honestly think we're running it back with Seattle here. Now, this might just stay at a lean because I do consider this Braves team a very good bounce-back team. But Kirby on the mound for the Mariners. He's 5-2 with a 2.45 ERA, and Schuster on the mound for the Braves, who I do not trust at all. In fact, only, I feel like he hasn't pitched past 5 innings or 4.5, 4 2/3 this entire season, it feels like. So I'm going to back a guy like Kirby that can go 7 innings, can give you 7 innings of 0 earned run baseball with 9 strikeouts. Definitely the better pitcher in my opinion here. So I'm going to trust that. And you're getting even odds. It's plus 100 right now over on FanDuel. So if we hit this one, this could, if it does become a final play, could be another really good spot, and we deem the series very, very valuable from the Seattle side of things. But yeah, this kind of just comes down to pitching to me. I think that both these offenses can either put up 6 runs or put up 3 runs, depending on if they're feeling it. So we'll see if the Braves bats are feeling it. We were cashing over and over again just about a week ago on taking over hits allowed on pitchers that were pitching against the Braves. That's kind of cooled off to some degree. So before I start to see, back the Braves almost blindly like we were at the beginning of the year, I got to see that offense kind of click it back into gear. That being said, a total at 9.5 runs too. I could see someone taking the over there. Could also see someone taking the under. I don't really have a lean on the total, but nonetheless, both these games have been very close to that so far. Game 1 was 6-2 in favor of the Braves. That's a total of 8 runs. Game 2 was 7-3 in favor of Seattle. That's a total of 10 runs. They just smacked this right down in the middle, so I don't really love it. All right, Nationals Tigers is our next game we're looking at here. Detroit won game 1 of this series 8-6. Washington bounces back yesterday with a 5-2 win. We should have made that a final play. I did like that, obviously. On the mound today for the Nationals is Josiah Gray, 3-5 with a 2.73 ERA. Joey Wentz on the other side here, 1-3 with a 6.38 ERA for the Cardinals. In his last 3 starts, Josiah Gray seems to be getting better and better. So he's let up 3 runs, then 2 runs, then 1 run, okay? Pitching deeper and deeper into the games as well. Last 2 games here, he's 1-0 with 1 no decision in his last 2 games, but he pitched 7 innings in both of those games. So I think I'm going to back Washington here for minus 125 right now on DraftKings. I think you do have value. They got the win yesterday. Maybe they're coming off with a little bit of momentum, I guess we could say. So I like them here. I don't really trust Joey Wentz whatsoever, so I'm giving the pitching nod to the Nationals, and I do think this Nationals team, in many ways, can be considered better than this Detroit Tigers team, even with sort of the Tigers going on that little stretch that they had recently. They have a better record than the Nationals. They're 20-23. The Nationals are 19-27. I do think that this Nationals team, in multiple ways, can be deemed a better team. I'm not trying to gas up the Nationals all that much. If they weren't playing the Tigers, I probably wouldn't like them today. You know what I mean? So it's always who your competition is. But I'm going to lean towards the Nationals. I'm also going to take a peek at the under 8.5 in this game. All right, Toronto minus 190 here on the money line, taking on the Orioles. It makes sense. They got Gosman on the mound. He is only 2-3, but we know how good he is. He's got a 3.27 ERA. His last start was against the Yankees. 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 1 whip, and then 10 strikeouts. They lose that game 6-3. So I would say he did his job for sure. He's going up against Kramer today, who, you know, I think can be good, but I think is also kind of a fake good guy here. He's got 3 straight wins, having a good little run here. On the season, he's 5-1 with a 4.94 ERA, but Vegas knows what we're talking about here, right? They have the Rays, or the Blue Jays, excuse me, at minus 190 right now on the money line. So they know what's going on here, so I can't really consider betting Toronto on the money line here. I do look at Baltimore saying, okay, you know what, as underdogs with plus 1.5 in your back pocket, you have covered that in 5 straight. You've covered it in 8 of your last 10. Maybe that is the play. Now, Gosman is a really good pitcher, but can Kramer continue to do his thing? Because if this game sticks to a low total, I like Baltimore with the plus 1.5. But, you know, if this game's going to get up there and it's going to be a shootout and that type of thing, or, you know, a bunch of runs being scored, I don't really like Baltimore to be able to keep it close, because I do think that this Toronto team, if, you know, you give them an inch here, they might end up taking a yard. They're probably pissed too. Do I have that right? I don't have it in my notes, but I don't think they've won a game this series either. So they have their best pitcher on the mound. They kind of come into today motivated. This might be a game that I kind of chalk away and you know, don't do anything with, but my only lean on this game is going to be Baltimore 1.5. And then kind of ipso facto, because I'm leaning Baltimore run line, I do want this to be a close under type of a game. So I'm going to lean towards the under 2, but realistically, this game could, you know, take the lid off the can here, and Toronto could score a bunch of runs, because I just really don't necessarily trust Kramer. I just don't think he's a true good pitcher. His numbers look really good right now, which I can't deny, but yeah, I just don't really believe it. All right, Tampa Bay taking on Milwaukee here. Milwaukee has lost 4 of their last 5 games, including the 2 games to start the series. They lose 1-0, then they lose 8-4 here. On the mound for the Rays today is going to be Jalen Beeks. You know, obviously he's just like a starter, right? Pitched a couple innings against Freddie Peralta, who I do like, 4-3 with a 4.11 ERA here. He hasn't had the best, or he didn't have the best of starts last time out there playing the Cardinals. He only pitched 5 1/3 and let up 6 earned runs with 4 strikeouts and a 2+ whip. So, you know, he's not really feeling himself lately, but maybe they do start to see a little bit of bounce back for him. So I'm going to slightly lean towards the Brewers. I'm going to look at them on the run line, though, to keep this game close, just because, you know, Beeks on the other side, I think I talked about it in the last video. It's like he'll come in and do his thing, and I give him credit for that. But I'm not trusting that guy. I'm not trusting that type of strategy or anything. I just don't understand it as much as I probably shouldn't. You know, when a team has a guy that'll go out there and pitch 2, you know, 3 innings max to start a game, it leaves a lot of question marks for the bullpen, which obviously the Rays can handle. But nonetheless, guys, I do think I'm leaning away from, I would say I'm leaning away from this game, and then the value I could see is being in the Milwaukee side of things, because minus 140 for Tampa Bay, I don't really love here. Yes, they've won 2 games, but they haven't been consistent as of late. Within the last 10 games, they have not won 3 games in a row, and you can even stretch that out even past that. They really haven't been winning 3 games in a row like they were at the beginning of the year. So maybe I'm kind of putting too much stock into that, but I like the Milwaukee side of this game. Then we're looking at a total of 8 runs here. So Beeks ERA is 4.7, and then Freddie Peralta's is 4.11. Those ERAs together should technically lead you towards a slight overlean, right? But again, Beeks is only pitching for a couple games there. Freddie Peralta is better than his ERA will dictate based off of last game. So I'm actually going to lean towards the under here and kind of fade myself, which we do have a brand called Fade Me. This isn't one of them, but go check out the merch. Next up, we got the Mets taking on Cleveland. This game was postponed yesterday, so I already talked about it yesterday. I like the under kind of. I think the under would be my biggest lean here, especially with Scherzer and BB on the mound for the Guardians there. Then in terms of sort of a side pick, I think that Cleveland keeps this game close, because I think the Mets have the better chance to win this game, but when favored by 1.5 here, so favorites on the run line, they've only covered that in 1 of their last 10 games here. So I do like Cleveland to, even if the Mets win this, keep this game close. I talked about it a little bit more in yesterday's video, but don't want to kind of duplicate efforts here. I do like the under and Cleveland on the run line. All right, moving on, we got Kansas City taking on the Chicago White Sox here. This White Sox team coming off of 2 straight wins, but again, they're against Kansas City, so how much weight do we truly want to put into that? Lance Lynn on the mound for the White Sox today. He's got a 6.66 ERA. The Royals are trotting out Carlos Hernandez, 4.09 ERA. Don't love anything that's happening here. I think the public's going to be all over the White Sox because the Royals stink. So I'm just going to fade the public in this one and actually look at Kansas City at plus 158 on the money line over on Caesars. I don't want to mislead you guys. I don't think that becomes a final play, but I cannot think that I'm going to, find value in betting Chicago on the money line here for minus 180 odds. Like, that is asinine to me. Total of 9.5 runs. Now, both these pitchers can let up a bunch of runs, but are the offenses going to show up? I think not. I'm also going to lean towards the under. And guys, if you're still watching at this point, I've been loving when we do this just so I can see who the real ones are. Go ahead and comment 15 in the comments. 1, 5. Let me see who's still watching, because I love starting to recognize these names of all you guys that are actually watching late into the videos and just kind of kicking it with me for 15 minutes plus, which is absolutely crazy to me. So go ahead, drop 15 in the comments, and I appreciate it. Even if we're having a good video day, where the energy's there, or a bad video day where the energy's not there and we're kind of just trying to grind through it. I appreciate all the real ones, the people that actually do, watch, stay entertained, and comment and kind of, collaborate with us in this community and in this growth. So guys, go ahead and comment 15 if you are watching as of right now. Let's move on to the next game. Houston taking on Oakland. This is probably the biggest money line, the longest odds that we've seen, or the most juice to be paid. Minus 360 for Houston on the money line. So I don't think we're going to be considering that. If anything, this could be sort of a parlay throw-in. I don't know if we're going to do any parlays today, but they've won 9 of their last 10 games regardless of who they're playing as well. Yes, they're playing Oakland right now. They kind of got an easy, I'm talking about Houston, got an easy served up Cubs team that wasn't really ready to be playing. Chicago, they swept as well. So I don't think they actually swept Chicago White Sox, but they won 3 of 4 or 2 of 3. They won the series. But either way, it's like this Houston team, they haven't necessarily been truly tested in the last few games. So it looks great that they've won, I think they won 6 straight, 7 straight, whatever, 9 of their last 10. But again, I don't think they've truly been tested, so I do see a little regression coming for them coming up. But it's not going to happen against this A's team. This A's team does stink, you know what I mean? So Framber Valdez on the mound for the Astros as well. You can see why now they're even more favorites against Kapralian, who I just double-digit 10.17 ERA, 0-3 on the season. Yeah, my only thing in this game probably would be looking at some sort of a parlay play with Houston in there, but even 340 isn't going to do much for your. That's the best you can get now for DraftKings here in DraftKings. But yeah, guys, what do you want me to do with this game? Maybe we take a peek at the under, just due to the fact that the games in this series thus far have looked that way, a 5-1 game and a 3-2 game, but it doesn't really tickle my fancy all that much. All right, we're back at probably the best series that's going on as of right now. St. Louis taking on the Dodgers here. Game 1 ends in a 16-8 St. Louis win. Then the Dodgers bounce back, win 5-0. And then yesterday we had this one called right too. St. Louis wins 6-5. What's going to happen today? On the mound for the Dodgers, you are looking at Clayton Kershaw, 6-3 with a 2.52 ERA. Jack Flaherty, though, on the mound for the Cardinals, 3-4 with a 5.24 ERA. I do think he's a better pitcher than what his numbers are saying. Last game, he had a stellar game. It was against it was that blowout game against Milwaukee. 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, a .7 whip, and 10 strikeouts. But you gotta sniff a little regression coming from him, right? That is way too good of a stat line, almost a perfect game based on him. So I'm gonna lean towards Kershaw and the Dodgers here to even out this series. Again, it went St. Louis, Dodgers, St. Louis. Who's gonna win this one? I think the Dodgers. You're getting minus 145 over on FanDuel. I don't hate that value. And you're also looking at a total of 8.5 runs. I think these offenses, for the most part, are in gear right now. So I'm gonna lean towards the over as well. All right, we might be sounding the psycho alert alarm in this one. We got Texas taking on the Rockies here. Texas minus 210 in this one. Obviously makes sense as to why they are favorites here. They're cleaning this team up 7-2, 11-5. They're playing good baseball. But I think out of the 3 games that they now have in this series, I think that they have their worst pitcher going here of those 3. They have Haney on the mound today, 2-3 with a 4.71 ERA. Now, I'm not trying to gas up, Seabold on the other side for the Rockies. He is not that great either. He's pitching about 5 innings, letting up about 2 to 4 runs with very low strikeouts. But I don't think the odds there warrant a minus 210 play for Texas, and I don't think that they win another game on the run line. So as crazy as this is, Something's telling me that this could be a Colorado game for plus 180 over on Caesars as of right now. Again, Martin Perez started the series off for Texas. Then they went to John Gray. I don't think that Heaney's really in that category. Haney, I don't know if I'm calling him correctly, but Andrew Haney, I don't necessarily trust like I would trust those guys. And we're looking at similar odds on the game. So I think that they're baiting people into saying, hey, this is just routine clockwork. Texas is going to win by a bunch. Texas is going to win by a bunch. Nope. This game, I think Colorado ends up actually taking it. And plus 180 odds is some damn good money. Looking at a total of 9 runs here, I don't see any reason why you'd consider the under, just based on one, how these two teams have been trending, even when Colorado isn't in Colorado. And then look at just Texas, because, you know, even if you forget what I just said, that Colorado could win this game, Texas is covering this line like plenty by themselves sometimes. So I think that the over here probably is the more valuable bet. All right, I think this one should be an interesting game here. We got the Giants taking on the Marlins. Alex Wood on the mound for the Giants. He's got a sub-3 ERA. No decision still on the season, which is kind of funny, but he's only pitching, 2 to, I would say, 5 innings at absolute maximum. But then you have Jesus Luzardo on the side for the Marlins, and I think I've talked about in videos before. I do really like him. He is a guy that'll pitch 6 innings, 5 to 6 innings, keep a team low with, 5 to 7 strikeouts as well. He's got a 3.16 ERA, and you're getting Miami right now, plus 110 on the money line. And I think it's the direction we're going to lean in. Now, I know Alex Wood is good, and, when he pitches, they play good baseball. They have won. He doesn't have any decisions, but they've won 2 of his last 3 starts here. But I think this Miami team just, is kind of finding themselves. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They've won 5 of their last 6, including 1 here against San Francisco yesterday in a 1-0 ball game. So I'm going to lean towards Miami. Give me the plus money underdog. I feel like we've taken a lot of underdogs today, and we have in as of late as well, but you kind of just got to trust the teams and look at them and say, you know what, you're an underdog, that's just more value. But at the end of the day, I still do trust the pitcher and the team and the offense, which is what we're doing here with the Marlins. 7.5 runs seems kind of low. You have 2 pitchers on the mound that I think should start the game in a pretty low run type spot, so I'm kind of confused on where to come out here. I don't really have an informative or analytical lean on this one. I would lean towards the under just because it's 2 good pitchers, but that line at 7.5, which is updated from the graphic here, it says 8, it is 7.5 now, is super low. All right, Vegas wants to give us free money today. Free money today on the Twins. No, I'm just kidding. I do think that this is a Twins spot. They got the win for us yesterday. It's hard to fade the Angels when Ohtani's pitching, but the odds just are not worth it. Minus 150 here on the Angels when it comes to the odds. I'm looking at the Twins plus 130 or even plus 1.5 here for minus 160. I think both of those have a little bit more value and a little bit more return on the investment. So this really isn't me fading Ohtani. I don't want to make it seem like that. He's going to give you probably 7 innings pitched, but even in his last 3 starts, they've been kind of like Rocky, 3 runs, 4 runs, 5 runs. Not necessarily the Ohtani we would love to see, but at some point he's got to dig himself out of that hole. It could be today. So when I say Vegas is handing out free money, I don't totally mean it, but I am leaning Twins today. Plus 130 just seems like way too much value to trust a team that, if Ohtani wasn't on the mound, which very, very hard to say, right? Obviously he's on the mound. I do think that this would be super, a Minnesota-sided game. So I'm going to trust that Ohtani has one more starting him before he kind of kicks it back into gear, and we can make some damn money on this Minnesota plus 130 value here. And then we have a total of 8 runs. I kind of like this one to land on 8, so I don't know where to come out on it. Maybe a slight lean towards the over, but I could easily see this being, a 5-3 type game, to be completely honest. Luckily, we watch more Red Sox games than any other games, and we've been able to tell when they're in their peaks and valleys here, and they have been peaking for sure. They won 4 straight games. San Diego's only won 1 of their last 10 games, which is yikes. But the issue is Corey Kluber on the mound here for the Red Sox, who's 2-5 with a 6.41 ERA. Yes, he got the win a couple games back against Philly, but even still at 3 earned runs through 5 innings. His whip has been nowhere near 1 as of late. The strikeouts aren't there. I just cannot look at this Kluber start and say, okay, you know what, I can trust the Red Sox here. Now, plus 131 odds are kind of nice, but what I'm actually going to kind of look at, and it's kind of a crazy thing to do, is I'm going to lean towards San Diego. Michael Wacha on the mound, 4-1 with a 4.06 ERA, and he's coming off a really good start against Kansas City, throwing the caveat, 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, a .29 whip, and 11 strikeouts in a win. So maybe he's feeling himself, maybe he's able to go out there and deal against a team that he was formerly on as well. Maybe there's a little bit of that factor in there, but yeah, minus 140 I think are fair odds for this Padres. Pains me to bet against the Red Sox here, but I do think that this is kind of where, okay, we went on a little bit of a streak. Now Kluber's pitching, we kind of regress just a little bit. In terms of a total 9 runs, it's going to be the Padres that put up a lot of runs here. I don't think this is the Red Sox offensive game, if I'm being completely honest. So I'm going to lean towards the under because the San Diego team hasn't scored over 4 runs, and they've only done that twice in their last 10 games. Last game on the slate here, and the same odds that we're looking at pretty much as to what we got earlier here. We have the Mets minus 145 at home, total sitting at 7.5 runs here as well. In the second part of the doubleheader, Verlander's on the mound for the Mets and Shane Bieber on the mound for the Guardians. I kind of lean in that same exact direction as to what we did earlier, not with the total though. Just the pick in this one would be Cleveland on the run line, especially with a back-to-back, or not a back-to-back, excuse me, a doubleheader type vibe here. I think that these two games kind of stay close, and they, a team doesn't want to show all their cards or go balls to the wall in game 1, save themselves for game 2. A lot of things can kind of creep into the mental psyche there of these two teams. So I like Cleveland on the run line again because, again, even if the Mets are going to win this game, I don't necessarily think they do it in a landslide. I think it's a close game. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. Hopefully you guys do enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.